South Africa's case against Israel started today early this morning here in the United States. It was, I believe, started at 3:30 a.m. On the East Coast and went till about 9. They're going to continue tomorrow. We're going to be hosting the Jimmy Dore Show tomorrow, so we'll have a lot more on this. But I do want to play a clip from this that has already gone viral. This is by a South African scholar named Tembeka Ngcukaitobi. Here are his remarks at the International Court of Justice.
That Israel's political leaders, military commanders, and persons holding official positions have systematically and in explicit terms declared their genocidal intent. And these statements are then repeated by soldiers on the ground in Gaza as they engage in the destruction of Palestinians and the physical infrastructure of Gaza. Many propagators of grave atrocities have protested that they were misunderstood, that they did not mean what they said, and that their own words were taken out of context. What state would admit to a genocidal intent? Yet, the distinctive feature of this case has not been the silence as such, but the reiteration and repetition of genocidal speech throughout every sphere of state in Israel. We remind the court of the identity and authority of the genocidal inciters: the Prime Minister, the President, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, members of the Knesset, senior army officials, and foot soldiers. Genocidal utterances are therefore not out in the fringes. They are embodied in state policy. The intent to destroy is plainly understood by soldiers on the ground. It is also fully understood by some within the Israeli society, with the government facing criticism for allowing in any aid to Gaza on the basis that it is recanting on its promise to starve Palestinians. Any suggestion that Israeli officials did not mean what they said or were not fully understood by soldiers and civilians alike to mean what they said should be rejected by this court. The evidence of genocidal intent is not only chilling, it is also overwhelming and incontrovertible.
No lies detected, as we say here on the internet. No lies detected. Very precise in his arguments, very thorough. And what he references there is something that we've referenced on the show from time to time. And from time to time, we've shown you guys examples of what they're saying in Israel to their own people, the government apparatchiks in Israel, but also the media on Israeli TV. You have these great outlets like Middle East Eye that actually pull segments off of Israeli TV, clip them for TikTok and X and YouTube and things like that. So we could see the news that the Israelis are getting from their media people. The most notable and extreme example of that would have been that guy who said, "I don't sleep at night unless I hear the houses blow up." You'll also hear just Morning Joe type, very dry, not as animated or antagonistic in their presentation. But if you listen to the substance of what they say, they talk about the cleansing of Gaza, in the sense that they explicitly say on television, we will achieve permanent victory by getting the people out. Like, this is said plain as day for all to see in Israel. So what he's referencing there is not just what we Westerners see, because we get the sanitized version. Like Mark Regev, he's like, he's the clean, made for TV. Yeah, you say the more palatable stuff to the dumb Americans. What they say to each other is a million times worse, and that's part of what he's referencing there.
Yeah, when you see these little windows into Israeli society, this is it's like what Hunter Thompson said about Circus. This is what the whole hip world would be doing if the Nazis had won the war. You watch Israeli TV, and you get the sense this is what Nazi TV would have been like if the Nazis had won the war. Oh, some Slavs died today in a train crash. They're so stupid they can't drive a train. To you, Hans. That's what their TV. That's what their TV is like. Really. That's really not much of an exaggeration.
We've played clips. We've played clips here on our show.
Yeah. It is really that gross. It is really that racist, that supremacist, that lacking in self-awareness or humanity. It is, if you want to know how sick Israeli society is at its core, go look at their news.
Yeah, indeed. And so obviously just great on South Africa for bringing this case. This was one of a few clips that I had a chance to watch today before this show. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but so far what I've seen has just been incredibly damning, incredibly powerful. I haven't seen the Israelis give their response. Do they get rebuttal time today? Is that the way it works? I'm not exactly sure, but I haven't seen any clips because I have a feeling those clips are going to be just as remarkable for the opposite reason, right? I mean, imagine.
Let me see if I can find this, because I was just looking at it earlier. So we're just gonna wing it because this is breaking news. So Netanyahu said the hypocrisy and lies had been presented at the UN's, this is Al Jazeera, by the way, to the UN's top court, adding that South Africa's accusation against Israel of genocide in Gaza could only happen in a world turned upside down. We are fighting terrorists. We are fighting lies, Netanyahu said. Today we saw an upside-down world. Israel is accused of genocide while it is fighting against genocide. It was fighting against genocide. That's the kind of existential threat that Hamas presents. Israel is fighting murderous terrorists who carried out crimes against humanity. They slaughtered, they raped, they burned, they dismembered, they beheaded. They're continuing with this. Evidence be damned. Children, women, elderly, young men and women, he said. The hypocrisy of South Africa screams to the heavens, Netanyahu added, because that's always a winning moral hand to attack South Africa. Where was South Africa when millions of people were killed or torn from their homes in Syria and Yemen? By whom? By partners of Hamas. Netanyahu said Israel would maintain the right to defend itself until it had achieved, quote, total victory. So that's the response you're getting from Israel.
Please clap.